gone into this PhD program where I'm studying at the intersections of computer science and learning science, which is the study of learning across design, cognition, and sociocultural, so how we relate to each other in our history.
So what is your experience with TechCore? How does that impact what you do now?
Yeah, so at TechCore, that was one of my preliminary, I would say, experiences as an educator. I have been working with campers for a few years, and we would study things, we would do crafts, but I wasn't necessarily teaching them a subject. And so this was a chance for me to use my tutoring experiences of tutoring other collegiate students to then start working with K-12 students. And so we had small kids all the way up to like middle school, high schoolers. And so it was really a range of intergenerational learning that was exciting to me. And so when I entered into my PhD program, I started off with this intergenerational making project where we were looking at how parents and kids are learning together. And since then, I have slightly shifted my research area. I ultimately do want to return to that kind of work. But I'm looking at investigations of anti-Blackness in learning and how that shifts our relationships with education. And so when I think about that, I think about the young kids who want to be learning things like computer science, but they are able to recognize and articulate things about this field that they do not like. And so how can we, by better understanding what these like negative political or systemic issues are, shift actual models of education to make spaces like computer science better, to make classrooms better, to then make the workforce better, and be a hospitable place for these youth.
Awesome. Well, speaking of the youth, Carmen, how are you?
Good.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Carmen, tell us when you got started in TechCore. The microphone, every time I turn it on, it starts hissing. You hear that? Yeah. So,
Speak up a little
yeah. I know y'all can hear me. Carmen?
I started
Go ahead.
TechCore when I was 10 years old for a middle school program doing Scratch, and then I came here for a summer internship to learn the different coding languages and video production and music production. And now I'm here as a mentor, learning along with the students, but also teaching them coding.
How do you like it?
It's really nice. It helps me conduct myself, like learn how I'm gonna conduct myself professionally when I'm out doing jobs, and just help me like learn how to communicate with the students and also the adults.
Awesome. So, Tanya Morris, Tanya, you have Mom Your Business. What is Mom Your Business?
So Mom Your Business helps Black and brown female entrepreneurs to grow their business, start or grow their business through education, mentorship, and access to capital. Since November of 2021, we have helped Black female founders to access roughly $250,000 in non-diluted capital, which is money that they don't have to pay back to grow their business.
Okay. So you did that in the midst of the pandemic?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Actually, we started in 2017.
Okay.
So we're celebrating 5 years this year, and 19 we were part of a program that got us some free co-working space around the University Science Center, and it kind of felt like just as we were getting our legs, the pandemic hit, and so during that time we were just really kind of helping founders with the PPP and accessing and just kind of trying to help other businesses really stay afloat.
So how does that connect to the work here at TechCore too?
So what has happened is that there is a dearth of Black females in the tech industry. And so through relationships with the Black Innovation Alliance, Philly Tech Sisters, We Are Tech, some Black female-led tech companies, we are working to continue to kind of alleviate that space with people like Stephanie and my little young sister here. We wanna be able to really develop more Black women-led tech companies.
And so, what do you envision that looking like?
So, it can be a couple different things. I think it can be, first of all, working with Black female founders that they are tech-enabled first, right? So, and what that means is being able to use technology in a way that grows their business, right? That helps them with automation, ensuring that they are efficient, and using all those different systems. Then there's technology, being a tech-led company. So we have a fintech company that's working around payday lending. We have another company that's helping with certifications with nurses and doctors. So there are different areas. Women tend to start businesses where their experiences are relevant, right? Like nursing and cooking and things like that. So that's what it looks like, is ensuring that we're using technology in a way that not only grows our businesses, but also meets the needs of our community.
Okay, now tell me about the Black Innovation Alliance. What
So
is
the
it?
Black Innovation Alliance, I came into the BIA in 2021, and it is about supporting Black-led entrepreneurial organizations, or innovators. They like to call us innovators. So we're the organizations that support entrepreneurs, and it's really about eliminating eliminating the wealth gap through technology. We want to really help, and we have we just came back from CBC last week and had a whole agenda that we laid out relative to the innovation economy and how we can ensure that Black people are part of that economy and making the money that we are entitled to, like so many of our counterparts.
Right, and the CBC is the Congressional Black Caucus?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So Joel, how important is it to cultivate partnerships with other organizations, both for-profit, nonprofit, in order for TechCore to do what it does?
It's crucial. Our survival is linked to it. You know, it makes us relevant. It allows folks in the community to know that we're here. You know, if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, did it really fall? So we could have the greatest, you know, curriculum, instructors, but if no one knows, it's all for naught. So we need relationships and collaborations. And one of the things we need to do more strategically is that, you know, our focus is building engineers, computer scientists, folks on the tech side of STEM. And so, you know, there's no reason for someone, if you're a sports camp, you don't have to try to do the robotics thing. You bring us in and we do that. And for our kids that want to know basketball, we'll send them to you and you train them on basketball. So we need to work collaboratively like that, and we will achieve so much more.
Right. So, for those who are here and might want to share what TechCore does, I mean, what's the quick explanation that they can give to people so that, you know, they might want to get involved either as volunteers or as parents who are sending their children, et cetera?
Well, one thing I'll say for TechCore too, there's no discussion here about we want to make $15 an hour. I pay my college students $15 an hour. So there's no such thing as I'm looking for a job. It's like zero unemployment for tech students. The young lady that's actually volunteering right now for us at the front desk, she's a full-time IT professional. She works from her home. So, you know, these are the type of opportunities that are available to anybody who gets these skills. And it's even becoming more so that you don't necessarily have to go get a 4-year degree. And so, you know, we are providing that type of instruction and direction so folks can do that, because not everyone wants to go and invest all that money. They may not have the ability to do it, and you can get some pretty good jobs with a 6-month training program. And we could be, right now we focus from pre-K through high school, into college, and into grads. So for those folks that say, hey, you know what, I don't want to go to college, well, we have something for you too. So this is very real, it's very relevant. And my personal mission is if we wanna solve the problems in the black community, we just need one Mike Zuckerberg. We have one guy that can build wealth in hundreds of billions of dollars, employing 40,000 people. You know, average salary is 6 figures. That's what we need. And so, you know, like Tupac said, you know, I might not be the person to do it, but I'm trying to train the person that can do it.
Stephanie, what kind of career are you pursuing? What are you gonna do after you get your PhD?
So it's still to be decided, but I do think I'm leaning towards like a professor position. I really enjoy teaching and working with students, and I've been working in the lab for the past few years, so computer scientists can also do lab work, but we study at the intersections of computer science and education. So like Joe was talking about with the sports program, we actually have a research project going on in my lab where we look at the intersections of sports and technology. We bring kids together to develop wearables, and experiment with ideas about how they could see their sports learning informing their technology learning. And then their technology learning, how can that help them improve their sports skills? So creating different intersections like this that help you experience computer science in ways that are meaningful for them. I kind of focus more on the holistic, I guess, elements of computer science education, so not just career focus. I look at how can you apply this to your artistic practices? How can you apply it to solve a problem that you're interested in? And make it meaningful to you so that as you're engaging with it, it's not so much pulling teeth, but it's an inspirational tool that you can use to achieve whatever dream you're up to.
Love it. So Carmen, you were a high school intern this summer. How'd you like it, and what was your favorite part?
The thing that I enjoyed the most was learning the coding languages. It was the thing I caught on to it a lot quicker than I thought I would. And also, we would gather and like go outside every now and then, and it was a good time to like get to know each other and get to know new people.
So, people and technology, they kind of work together for you.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So Tanya, you know, you're trying to bring more black women into technology. You know, how do you specifically work to target black women?
Being a black woman, I mean, they kind of find me, and so the thing about the tech space, you know, one of my good friends who's a part of BIA with me, Nefertari Strickland, is a couple of teachers, and you know, she talks all the time about us creating this world-class, a world-class workforce, right? That we deserve a first-class workforce, and if we want to have that, we need technology to be able to do that. So I'm fortunate because I may not know all of the things relative to technology, but I know Joel, I know Neff, I know other innovators that are able to provide the nuances and the opportunities to women that want to get into that space, so that they can grow and be leaders in that space. It's really about being leaders in that space. And I was thinking about what Joel said about Zuckerberg. When you look at like something like a GameStop and some of these other opportunities, things that we are constantly consumers of, but we're not owners of. That's why organizations like Joel and the Black Innovation Alliance are important, because it is preparing us to really deal with that racial wealth gap of moving us from being consumers to really becoming owners.
Mm-hmm. You talked earlier about women starting stuff that they're familiar with. I think at this point, a lot of us are familiar with technology, at least using it. How do you see black women innovating in the technology that they use?
Yeah, I'll give you a prime
using it
example.
for
I
us?
have a young lady, one of our founders, her name is Samira, and she created she has a fintech company that's about eliminating payday lending, right? Which is when you go and you look at payday lending,
Yeah.
who are primarily impacted by payday lending, right? So if you can go and, get rid of that interest that is often 5 times more than the money that you're getting, and then help ignite that money, right? Restore that money into the community, right? And begin to bridge that and build credit and build wealth.
Yeah.
Those are the type of innovations that, I think are key areas that Black women can really lead in, right? Because we tend to start businesses not because we want to,
Yeah.
but because we have to,
Mhm.
right? Because we got prom dresses to buy and car repairs, and 90% of Black women are actually breadwinners in their home, right? Those are the kinds, so that's what I mean when I say it's those need-based businesses that lead us, and how can we make technology a part of those businesses is really what's gonna transform our communities.
Mhm. So Joel, what kind of careers are available through technology?
Oh, there are so many. Software engineering is one.
What is that? What do
so-
you do as a software engineer?
So as a software engineer, they're looking at the big picture. I'll use Uber. So some years ago, we never heard of Uber. We had no idea what it was. Somebody came up with the idea, wow, all these cars are sitting here dormant. If we attach it, have a program that runs in the cloud, people can access these cars that are not moving, and then the person who owns the car, they now can make some money. So once someone got the idea, and it might have been a software engineer, but whoever got the idea, it had to go to a software engineer for them to design the high level, how could all this actually happen?
Yeah.
And so the software engineer is gonna lead a team that will have programmers, project managers be involved, and a whole lot of folks. Now, Kaz could give a much better answer than I can, or even Stephanie, but that's just one example. You have programmers, you have analysts. Most people who actually have computer science degrees actually don't code, so a lot of people don't realize it. They think we're all sitting behind. Kaz doesn't code. I actually don't code either. But there are so many, it's cross sections in what's called infrastructure. So the folks who are building networks, wired network, now mainly everything is wireless networks, so you're building wireless infrastructure. And
Right.
understanding the networking, so you can scale this up. Hey, your businesses may scatter throughout the city, or throughout the state, or throughout the country. There are just so many jobs that are related to computers, and we're giving you those foundational skills so that you can pursue them. Artificial intelligence, so many things with robotics. And I'll even throw out this last thing, a new thing we've introduced, which is robotics, but it's through Lego First League. Lego First League, not only are you gonna learn both the computer engineering side, that's where Stephanie got her degree, undergrad degree, but the programming of the robots is computer science, software engineering. So we're teaching both of those things. But here's the really, really nice thing. Lego League has scholarships to college. So students can participate and compete just like they are in a basketball league or a football league. They're traveling around, competing against other teams, and then they can get a scholarship and go to college.
Stephanie, you said something earlier that piqued my interest. You talked about, I think, anti-blackness in teaching or in learning, one of those. And then you talked about wanting to be a professor. How does anti-blackness impact the lack of black people in technology?
Right, okay, so there's a lot of levels to this question, but I'll try to get at some of them. So if we look at our society, like, historically, and we think about our, like, even, from slavery, we have this history of surveillance of communities. And so, Black people are often surveilled at higher rates, which leads to higher rates of imprisonment. And so this starts from a young age. There's all these people who are being unjustly sent to prison, and this is foreclosing some of their educational opportunities. So that's one level. Another level is at the systematic level, the primary teachers of young children are white women. And unfortunately, a lot of them have internalized anti-Black ideologies that show up in the classroom. And this can impact how youth are perceiving their learning in general. So for example, if your teacher is often surveilling you and looking at your body and thinking that you're up to no good, then you might be up for more punishment in the classroom. And then how does that affect your learning? Or if the curriculum, if people are fighting against having representation of Black people, saying that the minimum of just reading about a Black person in a book is critical race theory, which it is not, to be clear, you're removing these modes of representation and access for young people. And what happens when young people are able to read these stories is they're able to build alternative worlds. They're able to vision themselves as people who are doing and thinking with technology. And so in genres like sci-fi, you're also not seeing a lot of Black representation. And this is how we get this idea of Afrofuturism or works of speculative fiction like Octavia Butler. Works like that might help people better articulate alternative futures, because if you read Parable of the Sower and you saw the pandemic, there are a lot of parallels there. So it's really important not only for young people to have access to like representation in their education, but to educators who are committed to their political wholeness. That means understanding how they're navigating the world, understanding who they are as young people who are also developmentally experiencing racism. And so what does it mean to care for young children when they're in this like fragile state of life? And so these educators are in a need of further development to help eliminate anti-Blackness at that level. And then there's like the systemic issues, there's the law and other things that are placed to obfuscate people's entry into these positions in the workplace.
You better go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like you've already decided what you want. You said lead up.
Don't fall far from the tree.
I think there's a lot that I feel like I can do.
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to figure out is where do I feel whole and well at?
Right.
Because a lot of Black radicals and Black thinkers are dying at a young age.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to become part of that statistic. So what does it look like to find a career that I feel well in addition to being able to share knowledge? And so I always think that I'll be an educator of some sort, but I'm not sure in what way I'll go about that. And so I just hope to be able to continue to be in community with people and being able to share these ideas and help them gain access to the resources that I have access to. One thing we think about, at least me and my conspirators, is how do we get the money and become able to redistribute it, kind of like a Robin Hood model. So even though I'm in the university, how can I take the money and help fund programs in the community? Or as a part of my proposal, do things like that. So if I stay in that path, I'm thinking about how can I set up like financial structures to not only support me as a professional, but support the people who I want to work with and uplift.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you get the money from the university to the hood? Yeah, I'm with you. I'll help. We'll help you. So Carmen, what are your goals for the future? What do you want to do? Now ask Stephanie what she wants to do. What do you want to do? What are your goals?
My goals are to become like a data analyst inside the health industry.
What is a data analyst?
Okay, so a data analyst is someone who basically just organizes the data and like looks over everything to make sure there's nothing that's missing or that's wrong.
I love it. I love it. So, do you think that TechCore 2 is helping you achieve that goal?
Yeah.
How?
So they're teaching me like computer skills through all the
Man. So Tanya, I mean, you know, when I look at Carmen, that gives me some hope.
Yes.
There's a lot that is being said and done. I just had a conversation about this a few minutes before I came here to portray our young people in a negative light, right? So how through what you do you work to try to portray our young people in a more positive light?
Well, I think it's important to do what Joel is doing right now, which is give them an opportunity to speak for themselves. And really to prepare them to tell their story. So, you know, we don't really work with youth, but I have people like Joel, people like Nefertari, Gary, that are focused on our young people. So we wanna try to provide them with the mentors to help them to be able to tell their story in a positive way.
Sure.
Solomon, I just wanna share something from Tanya. So Tanya's been very humble. So she just had a conference about 2 weeks ago in University City. And luckily I got the email and I showed up. They gave out $10,000 to Black and Mobile, and then they gave out 2 or 3 $2,000 to $1,500 grants to local businesses. So what we're trying to do is, as we build our young folks up and they get ready to launch a business, I wanna point them over to BIA so that they can tap into those funds, and that's crucial. When I started out in business, there was nothing to tap into to get, you know, free money basically. So I applaud the effort that Tanya is doing, and I just wanna continue to build this relationship.
Well, how important are those? Because, you know, one of the things that stops our folk from not only starting businesses but being successful is the lack of access to capital.
Absolutely, it's everything. I mean, like Joel said, we really wanna focus on the non-diluted first, right, which is the grant. So it's something that you don't have to give back. It's something that you can put right into your business. Somebody like a Black and Mobile, which is a app that delivers food from Black-owned restaurants, right? That's what Black and Mobile is. And so we want to be able to give someone like them a little bit of help to be able to build their infrastructure, right? Build up their operations so that they can be more successful long-term down the line. And so this Saturday, as a matter of fact, I'm hosting another pop-up pitch competition. We'll give away probably about $1,000, a little less, about $1,000 this week, just to give folks a little encouragement, just give them a little something. $500 can help you to update your website, you know, can help you to get some graphic design, get you some business cards or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So just some things to really kind of begin to continue to move along that train. Less than 1% of venture capital goes to Black women, less than 1%. Less than 20% of women in general become $1 million businesses, right? And so we wanna begin to really, really impact those numbers. We really wanna begin to be able to impact those numbers.
Well, because you absolutely can. Madam C.J. Walker was a millionaire.
That's right.
That's what I mean. So let's get it. So
Let's get it.
Joel, so moving forward, where do you see TechCore 2 5 years from now?
So TechCore 2 has evolved to be a year-round entity. So we're running programs the fall, the spring, and through the summer. And we have some, not full-time staff, but we have some part-time regular staff that's working year-round. If we look out, you said 5 years?
Yes.
5 years, we will have full-time staff. And in the building that we're in, I was able to take some folks on the tour, and you can see the 2 classrooms. We have 2 classrooms, and then we have the shared 3rd classroom downstairs. Well, the goal is that we're gonna grow within this building. So this is a community room that we have access to that we can use, but right behind this door here is a whole nother space that we're gonna try to lease. There is a computer lab across the hall that is for the visually impaired. My company actually put that lab in there about 10 years ago. So we want to refurnish that lab. And we want this to be a hub of technology right here in University City. Schools can do trips here, bring their kids, And then we'll have all different types of stations and activities. I was talking to someone downstairs about 3D printing, that we'll have a lab for that. So we want this to be a hub, and you know, those schools, when we talked about the finances, you know, the school, they can pay per child to go to all these other places, so they can pay per child and come to TechCore too.
Okay. Sounds good to me. So Stephanie, how do you build a bridge between what happens in academia and what happens in our communities in terms of you know, where technology is concerned?
Yeah, this is one of the things I've been grappling with, and so a paper I wrote with another black femme from she's Afro-Brazilian, and so one of the things that we're thinking about is how issues of justice and ethics and equity and technology are really not in conversation in computer science education. And so one thing that we're trying to do with that work is translate it into a comic or into a graphic novel that we can distribute out into the community. Because we definitely were using some jargon in that piece. And I do think it's worth sitting with people and having specific language to be able to discuss things. However, it's also important for our work to be translated and made more accessible to young people, people who might be experiencing this for the first time. So we're looking at how can we engage in more public scholarship. And like one of my favorite authors in this genre is Ruha Benjamin. She wrote a book called Race After Technology, which I recommend. And so that's one of the ways that we're thinking about getting this work into the community. There's other organizations who are running these small programs, such as TechCore 2. Well, not small, but you know, good sized programs. And you have places like Girls Who Code, who are running programs in Nesby Junior, all these different things. So I think as we set up these more intergenerational models, we're able to get more computer science into the communities, as well as through making more free educational content. So one of the things our lab is doing is as we're developing these different research initiatives, we're trying to also host our curriculums on our website so that anybody who sees it can pick it up and implement it. So like we're working with a boxing gym and two of their mentors to implement some of our sports curriculum. We're not doing research there, we're just helping them explore what technology and boxing might have to do together. So not only do we have our research agendas, we have our community partners and thinkers who we're dedicating time to make sure that they're able to educate youth. And so this is on the west side of Chicago. There's a small program over there where they're just trying it out. And so creating opportunities like this is just one of the ways that we're getting things out.
You know, one of the things that I think about as I listen to you speak is untapped talent around technology in our community. How do you reach, and I'll ask you this question too, Joel, how do you reach that untapped talent around technology, people who might not have access to it, but might have a real talent in this area?
Yeah. One of the things we think about is this idea of physical computing or computational thinking. And so this is a way for us to start thinking about technology without actually having physical devices. So for example, at a summer program, we tried programming each other. What would it look like to give instructions to make a peanut butter and jelly? If you were talking to a program, you gotta give them every step. You gotta tell them, pick up the knife, unscrew the lid. And so we're thinking through the procedures and policies that they're able to then translate into their computing environments. And there's also different tactiling. So like with the 3D printer, you could create different elements of a computer program like blocks. And then imagine constructing those together to eventually build up to these computer systems. We also try to make, when we are on Zoom, we try to make it so that if you're on your phone, there is still multiple participation that you can engage in, since most youth are engaging with smartphones. So we try to get web browser things that are applicable on your phone and on a computer to try to intermediate that. We also try to make sure that we have iPads or technology that we can lend out, because we know that these students don't necessarily have it. And so, when I think about untapped potential, I think about, how much it just means to young people to feel cared for. And so before they get to the technology, I think about how are they felt made to feel whole, so that when they are exposed to technology, they have the space to learn and think with it. Because if you're holding on to a lot, it might create an obstacle from you feeling ready to engage with a new learning topic.
Thank you. Joel, how do you reach untapped talent in our community, where technology is concerned? People who are talented in this area.
Correct. So one of the things that we've done this year for 2022, we actually went after a grant, VIP grant that came from the state. And with that grant, it's enabling us to subsidize the programs and classes. So like in the spring, all the classes we offered, it was at no cost to the families. And for the fall now, we've, for any of our classes, it's like an 80% subsidy, so the family pays $25 for the class. And for the mentoring program, it's 100% subsidy. So for those kids, 7th to 12th grade. So what we're trying to do is we go after and we just try to attract the youth with things that they may already be interested in. So if you look on your chair, you'll see it says game room. So most youth love playing video games. Now, in smaller letters, we have plus social justice hangout. So, and you can see the other stuff, the curriculum we're teaching, but game room is big and focused. So we know that every youth has talent. And it's unfortunate because in a lot of these schools, they don't nurture the talent. For myself, when I was in my elementary school, or elementary and junior high, I actually told them I wanted to program on a computer. And my counselor didn't even look at me when I asked the question. He just asked me what my advisory was. And when I told him, he said I couldn't be in it. And so that really, it pissed me off so much that I made sure I became a straight A student at the school. And I applied and got out of there and went to a school that would allow me to take computers. So I know that I wasn't the only student they denied. They denied a lot of folks, but many folks don't have the wherewithal and like a family to help them get through that. So, just give me your kid. Bring your child. Trust me. We'll hit them with Scratch. We hit them with video production. We hit them with music making, graphic arts. Trust me, it's something that will captivate them. And on the flip side, once they get this structured piece in technology, it's going to improve their grades. Now, everything else is going to make more sense. The English, the math, the social studies, they got a purpose and reason for doing. Plus the fact when we look at your child, we're like, your child is brilliant. How did you get so smart? I mean, they feel good. We got kids walk around, the parents have brought them their own little Chromebook. They walk around like they're doing something. So, but it means a lot.
Right. So I'm gonna ask two more questions, then we're gonna take some questions from the audience. So, Tanya, as we move forward, where do you see the partnership between your organization and TechCore 2?
So I like what Joel was saying, because taking it into the classroom is really about design thinking, which is a part of entrepreneurship, right? And so, Joel's gonna be in the Black Innovation Alliance soon as the next membership opportunity opens up. So that's gonna happen. And then, we've known each other for years. We've been colleagues for years, and so it's just gonna continue to grow. And I know I like what he's already thinking. I already see opportunities with teachers, and we have a grant right now that we're waiting to hear back from, where we want to have young people do project management to help back office with small businesses. So many small businesses are susceptible in cybersecurity to being hit cybersecurity. So we have a program that we're already developing with teachers and to train and work with young people to serve as that project manager, to do the updates, to do this, to do that, so that the small businesses can focus on doing what they do. So that's one way that I see us being able to work together in the future.
Great. So, Carmen, what school do you go to?
Science Leadership Academy at Harvard.
And how does your school help you to, achieve this goal that you have of being a data analyst?
Well, it's a college prep school, so they're really big on like cooperation and like taking accountability for yourself. So like when you go to college, you're like ready for like the outside world.
I think that's wonderful. So, give our panelists a hand. Okay, so we're gonna take some questions from the audience. Go ahead, bro.
I forgot your name. Okay, you're a double whammy. You're a woman and you're a black woman. You're black. What are some of the obstacles that have stopped you from, growing and getting to the next level?
Well, I mean, I don't see either one of those as a liability to start, right? But the obstacles of Shirley Chisholm once said, if you don't have a seat at the table, then bring a folding chair, right? And so we just believe that if we can get in the room, we can impact that room once we get in it. So it comes down to capital, right? I was talking to Jude the other day, who's our printer, and he said to me, people don't understand it costs money to help people. And so, we get the resources, we give them right back. So, it's really about capital and getting access to the right rooms to get access to capital so that we can help the people that we serve.
No, that's my point. I mean, okay, women, they don't make the same as men, okay? Black people don't make the same as man or woman, don't make the same as somebody white. So, what am I trying to say? I mean, I know you're not gonna let it stop you, but
Yeah.
I'm just asking what are some of the obstacles?
Some of the obstacles that you
Right,
face.
right. So again, access to capital, getting into the right rooms, those would be the two main things that I would say, right? Is just the access to capital and getting into the right rooms.
Go ahead, Miss.
I guess this is go for Joel and also Stephanie, but how do you guys work with students to prevent them from being boxed into certain positions? For example, when teachers say, oh, you're not good at math, you're not a math person, therefore you can't be a programmer, or you're not with this, so you should be an artist. And how they always try to box them into positions based off of their grades. How do you work with students to kind of push against that, and I guess have the resilience, well, they already have resiliency, but how do you help them?
Well, I think you partially answered resiliency. So as you mentor youth and they are accomplishing projects, their self-esteem is gonna go up. They're gonna feel good. And so then, it's having conversations with them. Teachers will tell you no. Teachers will deny opportunities, but it's up to the student to advocate for themselves, and hopefully the parent is involved, and we will, I just sent an email over the weekend to a parent because I was advocating for a student, but we'll get involved and we'll help you advocate. Like, don't take no, like, press it, push it, until you get that answer that you're looking for. But for the student, if they know someone is behind them, inside with them, and willing to fight with them, I think it changes and it makes them willing to go ahead and push it.
Stephanie?
And to build on what was just said, I think another thing is helping them think, helping them understand really whatever they're trying to get up to. So not all computer science actually requires math. You might have to take discrete mathematics to graduate with your degree, but once you become a computer scientist, you can do what you want. Whether that is math focused, whether that is art focused. The point is finding moments of agency within the curriculum to say, oh, I like this aspect of computer science, and then diving deeper into that. Or I like this aspect of art, and so now I'm gonna study fractals because I learned that in math class, there's all these cool different formulas that can make, like essentially flower art from math. And so helping them see these connections across subjects can really help open their eyes up to different ways of relating to whatever they're learning in school. So that might look like looking at YouTube videos. I was watching this chemist, which is so random, but he turned nitrile gloves into hot sauce. And that is not something I knew you could do with chemistry. So taking advantage of stuff like YouTube, Khan Academy that shows you the variety of what you can do with a degree or a learning experience, I think will help a lot.
Wait.
You gonna
So you
make hot
turn
sauce.
nitro gloves into hot sauce.
Yes.
Hot sauce you can put on some chicken? I mean, real hot sauce.
He put it on a chicken wing and ate it.
Get out of here! See, that's the part I was trying to get to. What did he do with the hot sauce? Fascinating stuff. Go ahead, man.
How do I get this TechCore 2 in my area? Because I noticed you're just in a promise zone. How you get it over to North Philly? Because we have students that really do need these skill sets.
So I would say, two things I'll say to you, but to answer your question directly, take my card and we can communicate afterwards. But let me also answer it like this. It is much like we can't just duplicate TechCore in every section of the city, because every time I talk to someone, can we get it in West Oak Lane? Can we get it in, it's just too much. It's easier if you have an organization. If your organization has, some resources, maybe you have a van, let the students come to you, put them all in a van, and then bring them here. And they get to see another part of the city, they get to interact with other kids. When I was in Prime, when me and Kaz was in Prime, we had to travel into University City University, and that way I met students from all across the city. And we can stop some of this community stuff, like I'm North Philly, listen, we're all in Philly. We all trying to learn, we all trying to move forward. So that would be my suggestion. But if you really want to try to do something at your place, I do have a formula. You can take my card, we'll meet, and we'll go through the check box. And you do have to have some funds, but we'll go through that and we can potentially do it there. But I think the easier solution, and this is for everyone here, bring the kids here. And even I've talked to so many people, it's so crazy out here with the kids, what can I do? Listen, if you as an individual have a car, why don't you bring 2 or 3 kids on Saturday here? And I'm gonna be real with you. When I was a scout leader for 7 years, the Mormon church, that was someone's job. Their job at the church was to transport kids to the scout meetings. So they were about making sure their kids had a good childhood. And if we are really trying to save these kids out here, then if you got a lot of time and you got a vehicle, then I suggest you do that. And that will help them, and they will get a great experience here.
All right. Any more questions? Stephen?
Well, not a question, but a statement in that I'm on the board, and I'm an associate dean at Villanova University, and we have a program that we send buses into Philadelphia to pick up students and bring them to our campus to learn about engineering. So we've been in partnership for a long time, and some of his students come into my program and then go to the university. So we have that connection. And I'm the proud dad right now because Stephanie's my daughter.
That's what you really did.
Well done.
You did that,
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
I recognize your program is focused on generally younger students, but with the high school and then entering college area, what areas do you see people looking at sort of areas of the economy going into? I mean, I've done some judging or review of high school student projects in green energy, in Internet of Things, in smart city technologies, and I'll tell you, there's some stuff I've seen from kids in schools in Montgomery County or Bucks County or wherever that are very impressive. I looked at some stuff, judged some stuff at Penn's energy program 2 years ago. Guys were talking clean hydrogen, and of course, if you're paying attention, the hydrogen energy technology is one that is bubbling up and getting bigger. So I'm wondering if you're helping people kind of look downfield at some of these other areas where various things are, where the economy's going, opportunities in the future.
So absolutely, we're very flexible. So as technologies emerge, and again, I'm in the tech industry, so as I see stuff, I'm bringing it here. And one of the things I can tell you for this Saturday, for the mentoring program, I actually found, Stephanie, on YouTube, I found a video on a house in Nigeria that was constructed, and it is 100%, it's 100% green home. Like they clean their own water, so it uses no concrete. It uses a new type of steel. It has a power plant built inside the home, and this is in Africa. This is in Nigeria. So here, our kids are going to watch this video, then we're going to discuss it. So now they're getting to see this super advanced home,
Right.
and it's all black people.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're hitting them on multiple levels, and so we're doing all that kind of stuff. And what I would say for you or anyone else in here, if you got ideas, shoot me an email, hit me on Facebook, let us know. We will adopt anything that makes sense for our youth. And again, we're agile, we're flexible. We want to do it.
Are you Joel? You're Joel, right?
Yes, I'm Joel.
Any other questions? All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for our inaugural town hall.
Yeah, inaugural town.
All right. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 7 a.m. WURD Radio.
My mom is
to wake up with work.
If no one else is listening, my mother will.
There you go. All right, thank you.